Welcome. This is the Power Podcaster Hour. I've got Pat, the Dean of Blogonomics and Pedology, and I've got a very special guest for you today. He started off in electronic music in the 70s and 80s, turned into a college professor where he taught things like Photoshop, and then he moved in Hangouts on Air, YouTube, all those sort of good things. And I asked him to come on because of a specific question from one of the student Power Podcasters. But before we do it, I'd like to introduce everybody to Terry Leigh Britton. Hey, Terry, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good. How are you?
Awesome. Good. All right. So I want to know how you went from electronic music to college to Hangout on Airs and YouTube.
Oh, well, that was long. So, I mean, I was in electronic music back in the 70s when they first started hooking up keyboards to the synthesizers, pretty much. And so you didn't have to just turn knobs, record a patch, and then splice in your piece of tape. You could play live at last. And I went to the School of Museum of Fine Arts up in Boston and studied with a guy named Jay Jaroslav and had an incredible experience back in the early 70s. And but electronic music was always an interest of mine, and still is. I still love it. I'm a psytrance fanatic. I listen to electronic music all the time. And if only we thought, as I'd mentioned to you before, if we thought of putting a drum beat on our electronic music, we'd all be rich now. But we were all into modern classical mindset that we're going to create the next, amazing new symphonic form or something. And so we never put drum beats on any of our stuff. So it was all. So anyway. But then years later, technology's always been an interest. I kept my hand in it. Wound up going back to school and studying graphic arts, which is basically printing, but it's a really high-tech subject. I loved it. And I did so well in college, they asked me to become a college professor, teaching the same stuff. And so I was deep into color theory and color correction and Photoshop, so 3 semesters of Photoshop and all the other graphics programs from Adobe and Quark too, and everything about printing, of course, and anything involved in getting ink on paper. But in 2006, I was called. I had to take care of my mom because she was getting convalescent. So I learned programming. I taught myself programming because I could work anywhere as a programmer and as a developer. Yes. So I learned how to be a developer, and so got my first real clients in 2007. I've had the same clients ever since. I haven't had to ever solicit work, and all referral stuff. So it's been a kind of a heavenly life. And that kind of afforded me a lot of time to get involved with the Google Hangouts thing back pretty much July of 2013 or so. And so I got really into it much more in August, and then started taking Ronnie Bintzer's classes and getting involved with the HOA Mastery stuff, Hangout Mastery, and meeting all kinds of cool people and really getting involved in the way the Google Plus thing was the community spirit is so strong with people. It's great.
Yeah.
So
well, that's how we met, right? We met on OVEE. As panelists with Mark Timberlake. Big shout out to you, Mark. Thank you very much. In fact, Mark suggested that when I had this problem, I had this question, which was a problem for me because I didn't know the answer. He said to get a hold of you because you had all the answers. So I'm hoping that, and I'm pretty sure you'll say yes, is that we can do a Hangout tutorial or discussion at some point. And you're also doing a Udemy course. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I started out thinking I would do a class as my first course, that I would do it on Cam Studio, because I already have a video up on Cam Studio. It's a 40-minute long Cam Studio tutorial thing. It's been there a couple of years. It has 600,000 views.
Wow.
And so it gets about 10,000 views a week. And so I thought, I'd do a Udemy class on Cam Studio, but I thought, but Cam Studio, it's what can you really teach about it? You turn it on, you record, you turn it off. There's not a lot there to even show people. And it might have been a nice first course, but I decided to instead put my focus on a different piece of software called Open Broadcaster software, which is available for Mac and Linux and for PC. And in fact, the brand newest version is for that. So that's
what's Open Broadcaster?
It's a recording software that goes beyond just recording your screen, which is what Cam Studio is for. It's just record your screen, whatever you see on your screen. This can record what you see on your screen, plus you can composite shots, so you can make a small screen over here on the right and a larger screen on the left. You can switch shots, different layouts. You can have your webcam inserted as picture-in-picture or be full screen, and just switch between scene layouts so that I can go from my webcam small over here with a big picture to just my webcam to now my webcam's on the left over here looking at that, switch to different windows. It's much more kind of tuned in for people that are going to do Udemy classes that want to make them be really awesome and yet be able to do their moves in a live production, where they're sitting down to recording one set. Just have to switch between the scenes and get a lot of dynamics that they otherwise would have had to do in post in some kind of editor, which can take a heck of a lot longer. This way, wow, the amount of time it takes you to make the thing is you're doing all your compositing and switching live, and so just do the setups in advance.
Well, that's one of the things that I say about podcasting is that really the ideal way to podcast is like do it all kind of at once, so then all you got to do is add a little music at each end if it's an audio, and you're kind of done, right? And that sounds really exciting. I can't wait for it to come out. So let me know, and I'll let everybody know in my group and all my students that it's out, because that sounds like, first of all, it's for a Mac, which I'm happy about, and it's for a PC, which I'm happy about, and
Linux.
And Linux. Mm-hmm. And if you can create your content all at once, like I really have it down pat when I do co-hosting of podcasts, and I'm recording. I do the recording and the editing, and I do the post-production, and usually I have it so that everything is done within about 10 minutes of pushing stop record. So, that makes the whole process really easy and quick, whereas if you stop record and now you've got 3 hours worth of work to do, that's not a lot of fun, right?
No, that makes it a drag. And it's better, I think, to prepare ahead of time so you have your slides and your images and all that stuff ready. You just call them up on the screen as you're talking, and that way you don't have to worry about all this post, production editing and stuff. You can still edit, get out your coughs and stuff like that, your ahs. Yeah. But it's nonetheless, it just makes the whole thing smooth and seem a little bit more organic, because you're not trying to edit to your speaking where you just recorded an audio track and now you try to edit to it. And that never worked for me because I'm never sure whether I really spoke long enough in my reading of the script to allow enough time for the picture for it to sink in. Whereas if you're actually working on it and talking about it, if anything, you're going to have it up there longer than necessary, but at least you fit the time correctly.
Right. So that's Open Broadcaster?
Yeah, Open Broadcaster software, obsproject.com, and it's free, and it's open source. The version for Windows and Linux is the older version. It was written using different libraries than they're using now. Now it's written, the Mac version is the first edition out in pure C++, from what I understand. So
wow,
very slick.
I have no idea what that means, but that sounds really impressive.
It's a programming language, yeah.
Okay, so I want to ask you the question that was asked of me, and thank you very much, Roger, for posting this. I really appreciate it. Adding a pre-recorded clip to an interview. I love your course, but I have a question. I do my interviews via Skype, but I'll use another option if I need to. How can I play an MP3 during an interview so my guests can hear it and comment? Any suggestions? So my first suggestion is, if you have a question like that, stick it in the discussion thing, and we'll find out an answer. And my second suggestion is listen to Terry.
Yeah, well, let's see. Oh, what's that noise?
What's that? I hear music. I hear electronic music. Is this your doing?
Yes, it is. I am. I am in control of your television set, and um, you are now hearing an MP3 playing in the background. Just as proof of concept that it's possible, so we start right off on the right foot, and you go, oh, well, at least I'm not wasting my time, and the question gets answered in this thing. Because we are, as we're doing it, we're doing a hangout on air with the music content in the background.
And it will work exactly the same way on Skype.
Yes, it works the same way on Skype.
Okay.
So and
what did you do? This is
huge
magic.
Huge truck in the background. That's not a sound effect. That's a real truck.
I see the robot behind you. It's controlling everything.
Yeah, that robot and the robot dog in the other side. Yes. Yeah. I have to get them a little closer, my mascots, because this looks a little bit too much like two angels on my shoulders, talking. Anyway, all right. So what we're using is a program called Voicemeeter. Now, this is possible on a PC to do this with a kind of a driver that's built into many PCs called Stereo Mix. But the problem with Stereo Mix is that you can't monitor the sound well. You don't really have control over the sound. You can set it up so that you bring in the system audio, and you also have you put on your microphone, tell it to be listened to through your speakers and get it in the stereo mix, and that can make it happen. But you can't turn up your audio at all to hear your sound, and you have to put the output through the speakers for any of this to work, for stereo mix to work. Voicemeeter gets past all of that BS. You can monitor. You can selectively bring in what you're going to hear and what's going to go out to the broadcast. So you have separate auditioning and broadcasting selections, okay? And that's really crucial when you're bringing in a Skype call or an HOA. As we're doing right now, I'm monitoring what Scott's saying, but it's not going back out to the broadcast. And that's another problem.
Oh, so there's no echo, in other words.
There's no echo, exactly. What Scott says doesn't get sent back out again. It only gets to my headphones. So there's plus number one. The second plus is that my media player can be sent both to my headphones and out to the broadcast. And thirdly, that my microphone is only being sent out to the broadcast, and I'm not auditioning that too, because all computer software has a little bit of a delay to a microphone's input and when you get to hear it again. It's called latency. And that little bit of a delay can be really distracting and annoying. You're hearing yourself just fine talking through the vibrations through your head. So really no need to hear how good the voice is sounding. You can check out the sound of the voice, before you go live. But then you just turn off that. So I'm going to show you the actual software.
So, Terry, before you do that, the other question, and you may have answered this, but I just want to be really clear on it. You can control the volume of the background music, because it's actually quite soft right now. When we first started, it was quite a bit louder. So you're able to adjust all of the volumes so we don't have, blow out somebody's eardrums by accident, either through our speech or through well, in this case, music. It could be anything that we want the other people to hear.
That's right. You have complete control with volume controls, and so over both your own auditioning volume and over the volume of the individual elements going out to the broadcast. Now,
you said this was OBS.com?
No, that's the software I'm going to do the tutorials on, the Udemy. The name of the software is Voicemeeter. And voice, V-O-I-C-E, and meter is spelled funny, M-E-E-T-E-R. So it's a purposeful misspelling. And Voicemeter is written by a very, very wonderful programmer in France who already writes a lot of software for audio stuff, and he decided to do this project and create this software.
Now, does it have is it free? Is it got a price?
Yes, it's donationware, so it's free to use. If you can't afford to donate anything, you can use it. Nothing will be broken. nothing will be only partially working. You don't have any kind of weird noises coming in until you pay or anything like that.
Okay.
No time limits. However, it's donation-ware. You make a $10, $15 donation to the author. That's all. And
Yeah,
through
it's
PayPal.
well worth it.
Yeah.
Great.
Once you
I'll
find
put the
you
link
like
to it in the description, and when I edit, when we're talking about this part, I'll have the link rolling underneath Terry. So
Okay.
if I remember.
Well, if you like, I'll share my screen and show you the software first, I guess.
Wonderful.
And I'll explain some of its use.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And by the way, this music that you're hearing, I will explain where and how I got this later, but let me tell you, this is copyright free from YouTube.
And costs nothing to use.
Costs nothing to use, and you will not get in any trouble with YouTube for using the music they actually gave you to use. And they also have an extensive sound effects library. So
they're really getting into helping people produce the videos, aren't they?
You bet they are. So you can download the files or use them directly from the browser. The easiest, like I'm playing from a playlist right now of files that I've downloaded. So, but I could have just as easily opened the browser, and I'm going to actually do that in a bit because I do have the browser open, so I can share with you that website, how to get to this free library, in case
Wonderful.
People don't know. All right, so let me first I'll share the Voicemeeter page. Second, you know how this is, a little time delay. There you are. This is Voicemeeter. Can you see it yet?
Yeah, I can, and there I am with my sound going up and down.
Okay, that's right. And you see here is the sound effects right here. So I'll turn that up. So there you have my background music going, and you can actually play multiple files at the same time sometimes, but using different media players. You can play them all through the system audio at once and have control over a sound effects file going with Windows Media Player and VLC playing another playlist like I'm doing now, and another one that lets you kind of target your audio as FooBar 2000. So anyway, yes, so Scott's audio is in this slider right here. Oh, I'm not showing. You can't see my my mouse.
Well,
yeah, you
can. I can see the mouse.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm in the middle.
You're in the middle slider. The first one is, and you see there's a hardware inputs, but this hardware input is not really a hardware input. It's a cable input, a virtual cable, and you download this from the same place that you get Voicemeeter from. When you go to the Voicemeeter page for downloading, you'll see 3 tabs at the top, and there's a tab on the left of the Voicemeeter one that says cable, virtual cable, and then the tab to the right is the professional version of Voicemeeter, which is also donationware, but it's a lot more complex than this one, and I thought we should start out explaining the easy one, because this is daunting enough for some people.
Yeah. So number 1 is your voice, number 2 is my voice, number 3 is the input from whatever other device that you want. So this is kind of like in the old days you would have a box and you would have a mic, you have a microphone, and that would be wired and that would be plugged into 1, which is 1. And then I would have a mic and that would be plugged into 2. And then if we wanted to mix the music in the background, we would have our player, and that would have a cable, and that would plug into 3. So this is all kind of done electronic or on the computer instead of on a box.
Exactly. And these two right now, this it says hardware input, it's a virtual cable, and this virtual input, because I have this set as my system audio, my system default for playback device. Anything that's played back comes into here, because it's set to system default. And so just to quickly explain, you right-click on the little speaker icon or go to the the sounds control panel, and you go to the playback thing, and you would right-click on Voicemeeter, and select that as your default playback device. And then you go to the recording devices and you make Voicemeeter also your default recording device. And that's it. That's pretty much all the setup there is once you've installed the program.
Wow.
So,
So in other words, very simple to use.
Very simple to install and get going. Now, so you explanation rate that like inserts plugs, where you plug in your inputs into a mixer. Then you have this A and B, and A is like the audition buttons, and B is the broadcast buttons. So whatever is lit in A, you hear through whatever you set up in this A1 and A2 outputs. It lets you have two different outputs. So you can output to a speaker in another room and to your headset at the same time. And so,
okay, so you had said something, and I just want to clarify that because this is really interesting. So if I was a B instead of an A, would this mean I'm echoing?
Oh, your mic? Yes. If I had your mic turned on, this thing right here, you would then hear. Go ahead and try it. Say something.
Okay, so I'm talking.
Can you hear it? You hear an echo?
No, I don't hear an echo. So let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No.
Try it again.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'm pretty sure I have a setup.
But there's a potential for an echoing, is what you're saying.
For an echo, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And
then on the music you have A and B. So that's so that I can hear it as well as you can hear it?
Yes, exactly. So I can hear it in my headphones and you hear it there.
Okay. So the A is basically, now I hear an echo.
You do?
I did, yeah.
I didn't have it turned on, though. Well, it's a potential is there. I don't know why you didn't. Here, go ahead and say something.
Okay, do I hear an echo now? No.
Well, it might be very simultaneous. As you can see, my B is showing an output when you talk.
Yes.
So
that's right.
If you're hearing the sound effects, that means you're getting it through here. So you should have probably heard something. But anyway, the main idea, though, is to keep the Skype call or the HOA person, so you're only auditioning them. You don't want to send them back out to the broadcast.
Right.
And
it's already being recorded as it comes in, right?
Well, I mean, we're recording this because it's an HOA, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and this A, I don't have the audition for my microphone turned on because of that delay. Because I don't want to bother hearing myself if it's slightly delayed. You know? So I just
it's very hard to talk when you hear yourself at like a tenth of a second later in your ear, right?
Yeah, or even less.
Really distracting. Really distracting.
Even a fifth of a second is pain. So, and then to monitor the music, I have both of these turned on.
Yeah.
Then I just have these both at full. I go with 0 dB. There's nothing really to do there.
Yeah. So. And then when you want to stop, if you wanted to stop, because of the question was, I've got this MP3 I wanted playing, and then I want the person to hear it, and then I want them to comment on it. So you would just go to your player, hit stop, and you'd be done.
Yeah. Or if the song ended, of course. Or I could just fade it down.
It's so easy.
Or I could hit mute. You see?
Okay. Yeah.
And or I could hit solo, so you just hear my mic, and now you're just hearing me coming out. And
you've taken over.
Yeah.
You took over the Hangout. You have control.
Yes, I have complete control. So
wow, thank you for sharing.
It has some other nice features that you can do for the mic input. You can change. There's a tone control, so you can make it more bassy or more trebly. You can add kind of a slapback echo effect like that, and so a little bit of tone shaping. And it has this audibility slider lets you act as a gate. So if you had any hiss in the room, when you're quiet, like I'll do right now. Oh, you can't tell because I have. Wait a minute, let's mute the music. So when I'm quiet now, there's a little bit of natural air hiss, but when I stop talking, it'll fade itself down as nothing. So let's see if it works. There, I don't know if anyone not listening on headphones would have heard that.
Oh yeah, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah. So on headphones, you can hear that the hiss that was the ambient noise in the room. It's just molecules jumping around in the room. It just
so you can reduce that.
Exactly. It can get out of hand if you got it, but it's good if you're in a semi-noisy environment. It's not a super fast gate, but at least you have some gating capability, and it's built into this thing. And it compresses a little bit too, so that you can talk a little quieter, but it amplifies you somewhat if your voice goes up and down in dynamics and volume. So
right, which is normal. A lot of times when people are talking, they'll get quieter as they get to the end of their sentence, I've noticed, and this will compensate a little bit for that.
It will, but it's really unnecessary when you're doing a Google Hangout because Google, at least in voice mode, Google already does a whole bunch of noise rejection, a ton of it. It already does good compression, but the noise rejection is stellar in Google Hangouts. Now, if I went to studio mode, it might be a different story where I'd want that, because studio mode is just straight unprocessed audio, and I have to do all the processing on my end. But in voice mode, that's not the case.
Cool. Well, thanks. This has been excellent. And as a little bonus, you're going to show us something about YouTube that a lot of people may or may not know.
Exactly. So let me bring you in here to, let's see. There it is. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, it's this one. I had to So now you should be seeing the audio library in YouTube.
Yes.
Okay. You get to this by clicking on your face or your icon on the right and selecting Creator Studio. I saved some time by already doing this because it takes a while to load, as you know, at YouTube. And then down here on the left, you'll see Create, and you click on that, and you'll see the audio library appear. And lo and behold, there's a ton of free music. And you can search by genre, by mood, by instrument, by duration, so you can look for things that are long enough that are going to last for a while. And you can create a favorites list. Okay? And we'll remember your favorites list.
And you can see there's a little download icon off to the right, like they want you to use.
Exactly. Download icon here, and it tells you the popularity vote thing for whatever that's worth. But yeah, well,
you may want to listen to one, and if it's not popular at all, use it because you know nobody else will be using it on their videos.
Yeah. Let me hit pause on this thing. I'll bring this up and show you that I can play it right from. There you go. Up. Now I can't.
Something.
Yeah, but it didn't work. I don't know why. Oh, I know why. Because I'm already taking up the space with my. I got VLC open. I can't be playing both through there at the same time for some reason. All right. Well, so much for that demo. But normally, yeah, you can play if you don't have a media player open. Oh, I see. No, actually, I did not have it set as my default device. Hope you can still hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I thought it was on my other computer. So okay, so this thing now should work. No, even I don't hear it. Well, all right. So much for that great idea. I don't think it liked having the switching going on at the same time that I'm actually doing a show.
Right.
Okay. Well,
regardless, there's a great place to get some music.
And sound effects. Look at this. Right. Sound effects.
I can hear music now.
Yeah, that's from my media player.
Okay.
But VLC tends to want the whole when you start it up, it wants the output devices for itself. And so if I turned this off, I'd be able to hear my browser stuff. But
Okay.
this lets you do. You can play these things over here, like Baby Wine and stuff like that. So you could go
Right.
to the sound effects library here. Again, they have categories, and you can create a set of favorites that's over here. When you star something, it becomes a favorite, goes into the favorites library. So you can play
Cool.
them from the browser, and or you can download them, which is what I recommend, and create playlists so that you can just go through the playlist and run it that way. Okay.
Nice.
All right. So there's your treat on that. Okay. Here we go. Stop. Stop.
We're out of control.
Out of control.
Well, Terry, I want to thank you very much for sharing this with me and with all of my students. I really appreciate that. It's been a big help, and I think kind of opened up the door for us to do a whole bunch of really, really cool things. And of course, the whole YouTube music and sound effect library has been an added bonus that I hadn't really looked into. I thought there was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 pieces of music, and now you're telling me that there's tons. So I think that's really, really exciting, because copyright is always an issue, and you just hate to hear your super popular video got taken down, or you've got a piece of paper from a lawyer saying, thank you very much for putting my kids through college because you use music that you shouldn't have. So just want to express our appreciation for you taking time out of your busy day to help us, and I think we all really appreciate it. And, hey, it's a hangout on air. There's a lot of people here, and we really do appreciate it. Once you've got your course done, how long before you think you'll be ready to launch your course?
Oh, I'm all about this course all week long, so I'll be putting it in by Friday, probably at the latest, and so hopefully it'll be ready to go by next week.
Great, good. So if you like, I would love to do a more in-depth talk with you about the contents of your course and how it all works. If once you're done and you've kind of got your launch out of the way and you've got a spare half hour to chat with us, I think that would be great.
Okay, great. And for Voicemeeter, I have on my channel a full 1 hour long video it's called the Voicemeeter Video Manual, and it covers every single thing in this program. So it goes, if you want to go all the way deep, then you can watch that thing, and I cover every single aspect.
Great. Can you send me the link and I'll put it down? I'll put it down here in the description.
Will do.
Great. Awesome. Thanks very much, Terry. Really appreciate having you help us out, and we'll see you all in the next program, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. Oh, make sure you hit somewhere over here is going to be a button that says subscribe. So subscribe so you don't miss out on any of these hangouts that we do. They're pretty popular and everybody enjoys them. See you next time. Bye-bye.